Hey guys, Team17 and Expression Games, the developers of Hell Let Loose, have just done a live Q&A discussing their 2025 roadmap, as well as some stuff which might be coming later down the line in years to come. I watched the whole hour and a half, so you don't have to. In this video, I'm going to quickly highlight some of the most important answers that you need to know. First of all, does this roadmap only cover 2025, and how many updates can we expect this year, and how often will they be dropped?
Content that's on the roadmap is for the entirety of 2025, and it's going to be done in regular drops throughout the year, depending on obviously the type of things that we do. So one update you may see is going to be more armor, one update could be more quality of life, one could be a lot more content. So again, just regular drops with that are a bit bigger than last year, essentially. But James, is there anything you wanted to add on to that?
Yeah, sure. Just with them being bigger drops, we're going to go into a bit of a reduced cadence compared to last year. So last year we put out a lot more updates on the regular, whereas this year we're planning on doing, after Tobruk, another 3 updates. The time between them as well will give us a lot of capacity to do some PTEs of the work that we're doing this year.
So we are getting 4 big updates, including Tobruk and Update 17, which is dropping in April. But there will be more public tests along the way for us to try out all the new stuff they're working on, giving the community a chance to feedback on those developments. Next up, they answered some questions about their plans for Stalingrad, which is set to get a rework, looking at the balance of capture points, especially the central capture points, as well as general performance upgrades. This is what they had to say.
At the moment, so I've got my brilliant level design team currently sweeping through the map, sweeping all the capture points, making sure that they're balanced, that they're fair, and collating all the community feedback as well. So one of my talented level designers last week was looking through tons and tons of community feedback that's been presented over the years and collated all of that into one helpful resource for us to look at and assess what needs to be changed on the map. So some specific examples, and I recently saw a video by Fresh Baked Goods who highlighted the central capture points as the problem areas in Stalingrad. Couldn't agree more. I actually played Stalingrad last week. I got caught in that central one. It was a disaster, if I'm being honest. But it was a really good match nevertheless. However, I think there are areas on it that we can improve. We will certainly look to do that. And we just want to sweep the map and make sure that everything is as balanced as possible. I know the HQs need looking at as well, and we will absolutely do our best to try and balance those out. We are aware of the hill on the German side that's quite dominant for those central CPs, so addressing that will be a big factor when it comes to reworking the map. Now, with that said, I would like to stipulate that although we are making improvements to the map where necessary, we don't want to change how the map fundamentally plays. We think as a map, it's reasonably well designed in itself. We don't want to change the identity of it too much. It's similar to PHL, where we want to basically improve what's already there in terms of layout, but with an extra step, and I will pass on to Ian to explain what those steps are in terms of performance improvements. Ian?
I took a look at Stalingrad sometime last year to kind of just do an overview on how it was put together and to highlight some areas where we've started to kind of get some lag and get some GPU spikes. And one of the things I found that we build up the landscape out of terrain layers, and we usually kind of keep those to a maximum of about 8, so we don't get this sort of big sort of GPU overhead. And we found that there's a lot more than that. So we're going to clean that up a little bit. And, we're not essentially making big changes or anything like that. We just want to kind of clean up what's there.
Once we've got on top of the performance issues, then we want to just give it a layer of polish and freshen up. That will be, trying to add some more drama to certain bits. It will be addressing some of the legacy assets where possible, tidying up some of the old brick piles and improving the textures. We'll like to actually make a few unique assets, add those where we can, something unique to Stalingrad, and then just get it a bit more dramatic in places. Try and make it so that each of the tech points looks different to each other where we can. Just get a bit of drama in with some smoke and fire and effects, and all that good stuff.
So Stalingrad is getting a tidy up, aimed at making it perform better and making the capture points more balanced, but without changing the look and feel of the map too much, similar I guess to the refresh that Purple Heart Lane got. Next up, the devs shed some light on the Eastern Front map, which is coming at some point later this year. The main takeaways that we learned from this is that it will be an urban map set in the summer of 1943. Any guesses as to what that could be? Let me know in the comments.
That we can confirm that this time it will not be Berlin. I think a lot of people might agree with this, some might disagree, but for us as a live service in the genre that we have, we feel that Berlin might be the ultimate swan song for Hell Let Loose, potentially. So we're looking to, we do have it in our minds, we do think it would be a great map. There are ways we could make it into a map and it would be fantastic, but for the time being it's definitely not Berlin. Another one that I can safely rule out is Moscow itself. Few historians out there, you'll know that the Germans did not in fact reach the city in the initial campaign. So for us to create a completely fictional battlefield wouldn't sort of lend itself to what Hell Let Loose is. So I think for the time being, at least, we can definitely rule Moscow out as well. What I can say, however, and make of this what you will, I can confirm that the map will be set in 1943, and I can confirm that the map will be set in the summertime. Now, there is a big gap in what the Soviets currently have, map-wise. So this will not be a map that's like Kharkov, for example. It will not have wide open areas. I can confirm this will be quite urban, because we feel there's a real need in the market for an urban Eastern Front map. So I'm happy to announce that that is the case. This map has been requested several times already. We'll have what we'll do is we'll have a PTE much earlier as well this time. So we'll do something we've never done before with the Hell Let Loose map. We'll get it to a reasonable state that we're happy for players to play it. It will be functional. It will be rough around the edges, of course, but we feel that it's important to get you guys involved in the way that we create maps. So it's no use to us sending a map out to a PTE a few weeks before it's due to come out and then rush to have to fix certain design elements, balance and things like that. So I'm very keen in this process to get you guys in early, test out the capture points, give us feedback on everything you see. It will be super rough, it will be super ugly, but hopefully you'll have a great time, and look forward to your feedback for iterating further in the future.
This idea of testing maps out early and giving the community the chance to offer feedback very early on in the design process is great, in my opinion. Players will have more of a shot of shaping the development of these maps going forward, and what can I say, it's a very welcome opportunity. One of the most reoccurring questions from the community came up next. Pacific, when? As you'll know from seeing the 2025 roadmap, it isn't happening this year, and for good reason. It would require a tremendous amount of work to be done right. This is what the devs had to say about this topic.
Pacific Theatre comes up a lot. It's on everyone's mind. It's on our mind. It's on everyone at Expression's mind. Everyone at Team17's mind. Everyone on the player side mind. Where's Pacific Theatre? I think from my perspective, the Pacific Theatre should happen, but it needs to be done correctly. And I think I've said this last time that Raz asked it, last time that Fresh asked it, is it's all well and good as making a map, but the Pacific Theatre is way more than just a map. It is way more than just here's a new map and here's some new guns. There's so much more that fundamentally needs to change in Hell Let Loose for us to do it correctly. And if we were to do it, in my opinion, it needs to be done correctly. So that is kind of where I want to leave it at night. My point is, it's on everyone's mind at our side. It's on everyone's mind generally of how we would do it, but it needs to be done fundamentally correctly. I don't want it to be half-baked, and if it were to come out at any point, it needs to be in a state where we can look at it and be all extremely proud of the work that has gone into it.
We also got an answer as to what is happening with the Polish and Finnish forces, which were mentioned back in the 2023 roadmap. Sadly, this was a little disappointing of an answer. It appears that these plans have been shelved indefinitely. They might be revisited in the future, but for now there are no plans to, no pun intended, finish that content and bring it to the game.
Yeah, so Danzig it very much still exists as a map. It's in our vault of many maps. I was in the map last week, actually. I'm proud to announce that we are actually bringing a PT to the community on Danzig. I think there are still things left unanswered from that piece of content. So we would love to get that content in front of you guys and see what you think, because there are, while Danzig itself may not come to Hell Let Loose, maybe it will, maybe it won't. I can't answer that right now. But what I can say is the gameplay of it is certainly something that we could potentially roll out to other maps that are applicable. Danzig is very unique. It's nothing like any Hell Let Loose map we've ever done. I will share some details on that in an upcoming developer briefing. And I'd love to hear what you guys think about what we do with Danzig, whether we go ahead and actually make a full-on Danzig map. How cool would that be? Let's be honest. Or what we do with the mechanics involved in the map. So stay tuned for more info on that one. Yeah, sure. So just like Danzig, Finland lives firmly in my heart as well. It was actually the first map I worked on this project. The tactical map was found for that as well. So I can confirm the map was to be Lena Kamari, which is in the port of Petsamo region at the time. There are no immediate plans again to bring it to Hell Let Loose, but that being said, I'm happy to share some details in future developer briefings about it. We went on some really good explorations with that one because of obviously the balance in between teams would have been radically different for a Hell Let Loose map. I think we were even ready to start prototyping skis versus tanks at one point, which would have been really interesting. I don't know how well that would have gone down, but I'd have absolutely loved to have seen it. Again, while Finland isn't currently on the roadmap, we would definitely love to explore it in future, because that initial idea of that roadmap of following the war from 1939 to 1945 would have been really, really strong. And absolutely, like, Finnish representation, new faction in the game, new weapons, new vehicles, new maps would have been fantastic. So again, I'm going to use my diplomatic answer and say never, but it's firmly in our minds quite often, Finland.
I was really hoping that they would revive the idea of bringing content from each year of the war from 1939 to 1945, but I firmly believe this should have been done for the popular and existing full-scale game modes of Warfare and Offensive. I would have loved to be able to play as the Poles against the Germans in 1939, or the Finnish against the Soviets in the Winter War, but alas, that may never happen in Hell Let Loose. Let's move on to what we learned about the armour system rework. This actually does fill me with some excitement. They're going to revamp the tier system and basically make individual tanks more like their real world counterparts in terms of turret speed, reload speed, and possibly damage output. This will basically make each tank or vehicle's pros and cons more characterful and interesting overall, rather than just having heavy tanks beat everybody. This is what the devs had to say.
As it stands, obviously there's sort of those three main categories where it's light, medium, heavy, and as it stands, you know, if we introduce a new tank, it's pretty predictable how that tank is going to behave. It's either going to behave like a light, medium, or a heavy. So just on that, you know, for players who play Armour a lot, we want to make that experience way more authentic. We are looking at sort of dismantling the current tier system as it stands, and essentially applying individual stats to each of those tanks just to give them a bit more character, make it less predictable. So like the type of stats that we're looking at, you know, things like turret rotation speeds, acceleration speeds, rate of fire for turrets, that sort of thing. It's all the sort of tweakable things that can make tanks a lot more unique and you know, specific to each faction. So yeah, on top of that, there is an idea as well for sort of additional abilities that we can assign to tanks and tank crews. So I can't really go into full detail with those things, but it's a few bits that we're looking at in the background.
We also got a bit more info on the new tanks and vehicles which will be coming to the game.
So we're not quite ready to announce what the new vehicle is going to be, but what I will say is we are currently prototyping a new type of tank, which we think will bring some exciting new gameplay opportunities to Hell Let Loose. And again, I keep saying it, we are going to be bringing this to a PTE as soon as we're ready. So you will have a chance to play these new tanks, give you feedback on them, and ultimately let us know what you think and if we're going in the right direction with it. So keep an eye on this space.
Another common topic came up, which was the Recon and artillery meta, which currently usually means one or both Recon squads having to camp the enemy artillery guns. Devs are looking into this, but sadly their fix currently won't involve the introduction of mortars.
For this artillery sort of rework, mortars won't be sort of part of this, but I'll steal Carl's sort of saying, never say never. It's obviously something that we see suggested quite a lot. But for this specific feature, reworking artillery, there is a problem with, Recon arty sort of gameplay loops. It's creating sort of like a stale environment, really, where, Recon are sort of forced to do that. And we just want to address that, basically. There's a number of ways that we're sort of looking at the moment. Can't go into full detail with obviously everything, but we are addressing it.
Just to follow on from that, so while we're not going to disclose exactly how we're going to do it right now, I've seen quite a few community suggestions that are pretty much in line with how we're thinking about it. So rest assured, we are seeing that feedback and we are taking that on board, because that's pretty much how we were planning on addressing it. I think it'd be really cool, interesting to try. And there are, of course, byproducts of fixing this as well, right? Because, currently you can spawn camp the HQs because of the artillery loop. I can't commit to when we would necessarily address that, but by fixing the artillery, we could also potentially completely nullify that problem in the game, which would be fantastic.
The devs also discussed what they had planned for the medic role and the way players interact with medics.
Yeah, so on that one, the poor medic role, bless it, it needs some attention, it needs some love. Currently when someone gets wounded, it's just the strategy is just to redeploy. You get everything sort of given back to you, equipment, ammunition, all that sort of thing. We want to kind of address that. The way that I'm sort of approaching it currently is sort of like a 3-angle thing. The first angle is just looking at the current stats of the medic and seeing how we can change existing parameters, just to see what we can tweak in its current form, just to improve, sort of just day-to-day medic roles, basically. This is stuff like, just tweaking the loadouts, adding a little bit more ammunition, changing, maybe increasing revive speeds, that sort of thing. So just using everything at our disposal to see how we can improve that sort of side of things. The second thing is adding potentially sort of new abilities to existing things. So an example of that would be obviously the medic box. An idea was sort of like, floated around where we can maybe use it in a similar way to how you get sort of buffs from being within nodes and that sort of thing. Being within a medic box maybe just can prevent people from just, respawning instead of waiting for a revive. We want to just encourage players to try and hang on so that the medic can actually do its job. Another idea with that is, a communication system, just to say the medic is on his way. We know there's like a radius to proximity chat, and you won't necessarily hear a medic that's saying that they're on their way to you, and then you can just, you just end up giving up. So maybe something to confirm that a medic is on his way to you, and he's going to come and revive you, sort of thing. The third sort of angle that we're looking at it from is a bit more holistic, where we're looking at how we can improve the gameplay of other players to ensure that the medic has a better time as well. So whether that's like essentially rewarding longer lifespans and that sort of thing, just to give people a reason to hang in there for the medic to get to them. So there's a bunch of different angles that we're looking at.
I'm aware this video is getting quite long already, so I'll just whisk through some of the other stuff which was covered during the Q&A. Devs are considering revamping the resource system, changing how nodes work, possibly introducing more RTS elements which are lacking in the game as it stands. Any of these changes, of course, will be prototyped and run through the public tests before being added to the final game. Bipods are due to get some love. While this doesn't currently mean they'll be added to guns such as the FG42 or the BAR for balancing reasons, it does mean that guns which currently have bipods should get a better experience, as the devs want bipods in the game to behave as you would expect them to do in real life. So, if there's a ledge in front of you, your character would deploy the bipod in a position which is most advantageous, rather than at a weird angle or on a nearby sandbag or something weird like that. This would be another welcome improvement, so if they can make it happen, I'd love to see it. I currently avoid playing MGs, for example, just because the bipod system is still rather janky. Devs have confirmed that there are no plans in place to allow modding or map creators for the community. This is a shame, because I know all the individual national communities would create amazing content for this game if they could. You could imagine Italian, French, Polish or others creating really cool content for this game from their perspectives, but that just isn't on the cards. We have to wait for Team17 to make all the stuff we want rather than allow the community to make our dreams happen through mods. There were a bunch of other things discussed, but I won't go into all of that now. If you enjoyed this video and found this summary helpful, please do me a massive favour and like the video, share it with your friends and subscribe for more Hell Let Loose gameplay and news.